Welcome back, everybody. Another Alliance War video here for Loki versus NXT. We have Ghost, Quake, and Falcon banned, actually. And at first that was kind of odd, but it did kind of give us a little bit of a hiccup at first in terms of planning. And I am on path 5 with some mini action and boss action today. I have this Misty Knight up first, and we had someone else drop a White Magneto pre-fight here. But after I was dueling and kind of looking at her mechanics, because I usually take her with White Magneto, and his AAR shuts down her abilities for the most part, and it's rather smooth. But this node has Force of Will, so I opted to actually use Professor X because I have no way to stop her abilities with White Magneto here. I would just get the reduction in power combat rate, and that's not what I was looking for. So after dueling a bit and looking at her, I decided to actually counter heavy her to build my charges and to do damage. This will essentially stop her from getting the yellow, the anti-metal charges. You see there, I parried twice and she has 4. When she has 6, this SB1 is unblockable. So I can dex it. However, I want to be super safe in war, and I just don't want to do something that I shouldn't. And I figured the best strategy is just to beta heavy and counter heavy. I'm already at 100 charges, so now I'm like, okay, I can just bait this SB1, take it completely on the block, and be perfectly fine. So the other charges, the cryo charges that you see, is at 6 now. Basically, she'll keep gaining those as the fight goes on, and those increase her chance to evade. And Professor X stops evade after 25 charges of his own, so I don't have to worry about that. So it's really just kind of, baiting heavy. I think I parried just, because she's under 6, and just to get an opening, an easy opening, like right there to basically launch my SP3. And this fight is essentially over. This fight was kind of a pain boost wise, just because the way it laid out, I had to take my fights in 3 different segments, which is fine. I get lucky most of the time, and I can kind of run through all my fights at once, so I'm not too bummed about that. The important thing is basically not to die. So this fight is over, and next up we have a Wong. So with this Wong, I want to do a few things. Basically, I'm just going to parry heavy, and I want to bait his SB1, and I want to throw my SB3 when I have the protection down. But while he's under a bar of power, he can't gain any more power if he's mind controlled. So if he's just under a bar, I can throw my SB3 cycle and essentially end the fight. Now here I just want to make sure he doesn't throw heavy and goes unstoppable, because he does that, then you have a chance to basically get cornered with the node. It already makes him unstoppable as is. So the plan is to basically get to my SB3, and I want to try to basically have him throw a special 1 before I throw my special 3, because that way he doesn't place his crossfight ability to where the next fight my opponent will start with a bar of power and a fury, which would be actually really bad, because it just makes things more complicated than it should. But you see here, it went well, and I'm at my SB3, and I'm building up my my persistent charges for Professor X. At this point, I'll have 3 after this fight. So far so good, and we are going to go to the next fight, which is a Scorpion, and I am taking this with White Magneto. He's metal, so White Magneto will shut off a lot of his mechanics when he hits into my block and stuff like that. I just basically have to be aware not to throw a special when I have a debuff on me, and just parry heavy to get the fury down. I'll eventually shut down the protection, although I prefer not to. My PS1 boost that I used for Wong, I did that with Wong just to get to the fight at the end of the fight sooner. It ran into this fight, so I was like, great, because my mutant boosts are running, so I can throw my SP2 here, and does quite a bit of damage. So I'm like, all right, I prefer to push him to special 2 anyways, and that way I can just dex it. You see he has his evade Scorpion Sensi Bay thing up, and it's perfectly fine because I'm not really trying to hit him with anything other than a special 2 and a heavy. So I want to get the protection down right here, and I'm missing some parries, kind of annoying, but I get it down there, and then just get one more parry, and that's all she wrote. So it's perfect. And so far so good. Wasn't too worried about that fight. Now this Kingpin fight, you know, I have White Magneto, and it's his an ebb and flow intercept. The immediate thought process for most people would be like, throw a white mags and you know you get the pre-fight back anyways. But I rather use I'd rather have 4 pre-fights to use for my next 4 fights, that 4 out of my next 5 fights, than use it on Kingpin, because the Kingpin I can just bait a heavy. The idea of them placing him here is that he gains rage charges, and basically it'll increase his attack by 50% for each rage debuff that he has, because any debuff basically will increase their attack. But you see, I got an intercept to start, and now the protection was down, and once it comes back up, his rage is gone. So it's just like, okay, if I need an opening, I'm just going to bait a heavy. But really, Kingpin's SB1 provides an opening, so there's no real need to parry here. And here he throws his SB1. He's out of power, so I can do a dash back intercept. I get it, and I throw my SB2. And I'm running mutant boost for X in my next few fights. I get almost 2 bars of power, and I'm going to throw this special 2 again, and a nice 80k crit. I think that was over 100k combined crit with my SB2. And now I have Sorcerer Supreme. I dropped a White Magneto pre-fight on here because it's a Mighty Charge, and I believe I'm running a invulnerability boost, because the only danger with Sorcerer here is that she gets to an SB3 with her own power gain ability and dexing. So I'm gonna try not to dex, and blocking will give me a detox charge, as well as not giving her the dex buff. So if I don't have to dex, I won't. But here I'm just building my mind control charges. I probably should have dexed that since I already had the dex buff on there, so it's good to recognize now. I can think about that for later. I'm at 100 charges now, so now I'm like, okay, I just need to build up to a special 3, and she throws this SB 2, and I'm like, okay, was hoping she would throw that, but you see how she power gains, and it takes so long for her special. It's just kind of hard to get that intercept, even though I have my falter up. I'm like, I don't want to bait charge heavy from across the screen and have her, you know, hit me with a special. So kind of slow playing it, and I get the intercept there. I'm like, all right, perfect, heavy charge, and she has high energy resistance, and I have 3 charges right now. So I'm like, I know I'll get 3 bars of power. I just don't want to heavy spam my SP, or heavy spam my SP3 for forever, but it does quite a good chunk of damage, so the next SP3 will definitely kill. And now we're on to the next fight, which is a Dragon Man. It's the 456 shared mini in section 2. It has ebb and flow intercept and crumbling armor and mighty charge. So I debated using White Magneto for this because he shuts down Dragon Man's power gain and the node as well, and you just throw SB2s and he'll shut down MD for the most part. But I just figured I'll just exit. I get to my SB3 and the fight's over. I use a power start 1 just to get to my rotation sooner. And the problem with Dragon Man is, on any fight really, is his power charge, right? If he doesn't throw his specials, then he's ramping up power rather quickly. So right here I'm like, okay, I want to just take that charge away and, you know, have him throw his specials and not get cornered, because what happens is you end up getting cornered, and that's where a lot of his abilities, you know, pop up. So I'm like, okay, I'm at my 3 bars, I'm at 99 charges, and I make a mistake. He is being friendly with his specials, but I had a dash back there to get a parry, and thank God that I did. And so I'm like, okay, I need to get an intercept, but I need him to throw his special, and I get that. I'm like, okay, I need to beat him back at this point. I'm too much in my corner for him to throw his special. He throws this. I'm like, all right, perfect. and I get that parry to remove the charge. I get an intercept here. I should have done a 5-hit combo with a light and initiated my control, but I realized that I wasn't at 100 charges at this point when I'm throwing my SP3. I'm like, oh my god. Well, I'm still going to get power back from my special 3, but how much power? An SP2 will kill absolutely, but you see that it doesn't. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to throw my my specials, and hopefully it's enough. And with that fight is my 100 streak. I basically went 100 fights without dying in Alliance War, so I didn't realize that at the time. I thought, I don't know why, I thought my Fury fight, my next fight after the Cersei was going to be it, but my Alliance member tagged me after the Cersei fight, and I was like, oh, wow. So I have Hood versus Cersei on Conflictor. I am running 2 out of 5 in MD. I'm using my invisibility. I wanted to beta heavy to have her buffs up and just basically feed my power to get to my SB2, because I want to Fate Seal her and get rid of her, basically all her craziness. Like right there, she's not unblockable, so Dexing is less scary, and just kind of, you know, build up my charges. So I want to just kind of control the fight. I don't, you know, I was afraid if I had more in MD that I would just, you know, shoot to an SB3, and I don't want to do that. I like having the Fate Seal that removes all her nonsense when she throws her specials. The invisibility after also lets me kind of bait a lot more relaxed because she'll miss. So at this point in the fight, she has 21 hexes. I can definitely, you know, detonate and explode, but I want to wait for the right moment. And there she, you know, I triggered glancing, and I'm like, okay, I have to dex this SB1. I get a clean dex, and they naturally expire, and you see that you know, does a bunch of damage. So I missed the detonation, which sucks, because I love that detonation with Hood, but it's okay. I'm in control at this point, and I'm just like, okay, let me get an opening, and she ends up dying. So, you know, was not too worried about that. My first time taking that fight, so it went well. This Fury fight, I really thought a lot about this because it has aspect, and with Professor X and Fury, I can't spam my SP3 when I get it, because he will, once I kill a decoy, he will shrug the mind control. And so then at that point, you know, if I throw another SP3, I have to wait for him to start degenning, and then I can throw another special 3. But the problem is that he'll gain power because mind control is off. So I thought about this a lot, and I'm like, okay, I really just have to build to my special 3. I'll throw it a few times, and I don't want to kill him with it, but I'll have a special 3 in my back pocket. So essentially, I'll use it to get a good chunk of him down, and then use basic hits to get him down pat, to get the decoy down. And he's supposed to be special 2 bias, but he throws his special 1 quite often in this. So the only worry is that aspect is going to build, and I'm going to take a lot of block damage with the special 1. And when the decoy is dead, obviously any blocked hits with aspect going on that long is definitely going to hurt. So here I get to my special 3, and I throw this, and the first one does a good chunk. This is a max sig R4 Fury, has 284k health. So I didn't want to throw another one because it definitely killed the decoy, but I'm like, all right, just, you know, hit him. And here, you know, looking back at this is actually a really good strategy. It's safe, long but safe, and I'm building my charges with heavies. You know, I can still parry him because the decoy is not dead, and I can see that there is about 2 minutes that have gone past, and his decoy is almost dead. This is perfect, because once the decoy dies, then I can SP3, and I just need to be over 50 charges to initiate mind control manually, and I can end the fight. I just want to make sure that he's actually degenning, because I've tried doing this in a different fight where I start my SP3 cycle when he's like at 99%, and it, you know, it healed him back up basically. So here we are. He's, you know, kind of, you know, throwing those SB1s, and I don't know why, but I'm like, okay, I need to kill him. Right there, probably should have stopped up. Yeah, I was gonna push him over. So here I was like, okay, perfect. He throws this SB1 into my block, and you see, you know, it does quite a bit of damage, and I'm like, all right, at this point, just gonna dance away. And I'm like, all right, he's just killing himself. I just don't want to get too cornered. I see an opening there to go SB3, and the fight is essentially over. I'm running these mutant boosts with Professor X, and the global tactic make it really good for him in war. I mean, even without the global, I think he's always great. But you see, he does quite a bit of damage. The next SP3 will kill. Now I have a null boss up next. And I went back and watched some of my off-season wars, and I took a couple of null bosses for practice. And the thought process is that null has a darkness passive that lowers your combat power rate. So I don't want to get that too high, because then it's really hard for you to build power, and you remove one of those every time you throw a special. So once I get my rotation, I'll be fine. But the idea is, and I had someone make me a horseman for the Fury fight. It was last minute. I'm sure it helped, and I'm sure it's helping now, but not needed. But the idea here is to obviously dex right away so you don't take that first hit, because they always come at you, and to push him in his corner. I know that I'm glancing, I could care less, but I want to basically bait heavies, and just, you know, as I'm trying to dex 6 times to clear his debuffs, I want to make sure that I keep pushing him into his corner, but not to an SB1, because I don't want him to throw it and hit me with it. So I did that initially, and now I want to push him to an SP2. And when I can, after this, I'm going to heavy charge to build my mind control charges, and there I get, you know, 65, and I'm building them naturally as well. And I'm like, okay, perfect. I also put Resonate on and Inequity, because you know, just to lower any chip damage I take from him, but in case I have to block an SB2. But here I'm at 75 charges. He throws his SB2, and I have my Falter up. I'm gonna use that to heavy charge, and boom, I get it, and this fight is now over. That's it. So pretty straightforward with Professor X. I think it's you know, once you clear the debuffs, he doesn't go unblockable. And then you can just, you know, if you want to be even safer, you could just block hits for an opening and do that. But really not necessary. And I'm just going to spam, I think, 4 SB3s. They do about $120 in damage each one. And it just, you know, basically just takes him down. So super happy the way this war turned out, mainly because we won. Always feels good to get a win with the team. My battle group did absolutely great. We only had 1 death, so that went well. And it was like 4% left in that fight, so we could have got a donut. So that's still as a team we did well in my battle group and the alliance. And I got to my 100 streak, so that's super sweet. I didn't realize it was a Dragon Man fight, which I was a little worried about, but it's all right, because I'm glad I found out after. Less pressure. But we'll look at the final stats here shortly. Shout out to MVP, Super Sam, Legacy, and myself. I got 1. And this is war number 2. We were on to war number 3, and we will see you in the next one.